Hello, everybody. This is the Pinwheels and Ivy podcast. It is Monday night. We are live. I'm with Kevin and Tommy and boys. Well, Tommy, I know we're gonna get to you, Kevin, because we have Scoops Fiddler in the building. But Tommy, how relieved are you that you don't have to jump into Lake Michigan?
Boys, it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day in Chicago. We almost hit 70 degrees today. I walked at least 2 miles today, just because it was so nice out. My wife and I just went. We just got back from a nice walk. Everything's lovely. Everything's the best. Cody Bellinger's here, so I brought my Chicago handshake with me to celebrate. So, boys, cheers
Let her
it
rip,
up.
Tommy. Let her rip.
This is for Cody. This is for not jumping in the lake. This is for Scott Boris and Tom Ricketts and whoever needs this. This is for K-Fids. This is for everybody that believed in me and believed in this team as I did. So cheers, boys.
I believe in your magic, David Blaine.
It's so good.
Oh, we got a Malort face. We took him off the bigs. Oh, I remember my first Malort.
Kevin,
Been a while.
We'll get into the scoop that you were on Saturday night, but just quick reaction here. Cody Bellinger back, 3 years, 80 million opt-outs. What do you got?
I'm stoked, man. We've talked about this before. The whole Chris Bryant saga took a lot out of me as a Cub fan because I was a fifth generation Cub fan and being KB's coach throughout high school. There was a lot of hurt feelings and it was really difficult to deal with, especially after like bullshit cap rumor that kind of kicked everything off. And it was a really tough year because I got to see it firsthand what it really did to the kid's psyche. And it was really tough for me. And obviously how everything ended and how, everything has kind of gone since then. There's been a little bit of a frustration. And I've told myself this, when the Cubs signed Cody Bellinger last year, I was super stoked. He's been my favorite non-Cubs player for years now at this point. And he balled out for the Cubs. And we went right back to like what felt like the Chris Bryant saga all over again, except, free agency. And, I was on, at my wit's end. And then, I told myself, I was going to really go heel. If they didn't sign Cody, I was going to become a heel. There's no choice. You fool me twice. I'm done. I'm, hashtag done, as Zoe would say, but the Cubs did it. I think it's actually a very good deal for Cody Bellinger. It's a good deal for optics for the Cubs. I think everybody in this wins. And I think that obviously you've got this deal where, Cody's going to get more than what was initially offered from the Cubs as far as yearly salary, especially the first 2 years. But he has an opt-out after every single year. So this year's $30 million, next year's $30 million, year 3 is $20 million. He's getting paid $80 million if he can't hit a ball and couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. Great deal for Bellinger. If he goes out and he balls out and plays like the MVP that he is, he can opt out after this year and get that long-term deal and make everybody pay whoever it is. You can say last year was a fluke. He does it again this year. You're paying up. So, this is, it's almost weird. The Ricketts family's probably rooting for him to just be kind of average. But in the end, if he does what he's supposed to do, it's a win-win for everybody. It's kind of a Correa kind of contract, but Cody Bellinger's a Cub. Cody Bellinger has options. He's got the opt-outs, which is like gold for these players because it not only does it provide them an opportunity to make more money, but if he doesn't like the direction of the franchise, he can leave. He can tell them to F off, pound sand, I'm going somewhere else. He doesn't have to wait and let them decide his fate for him. He chooses his fate, which is all these players can ask for. On the other hand, Jed, Ricketts, they can say that they did the job. Jed can say that he won the negotiations, but really he didn't because we're just going to be doing this again next year, possibly if Cody doesn't play well. And if not, he overpaid for a guy that doesn't play well. So I don't know. But it's all done. It's Cubs. The Cubs have Cody Bellinger, the best player, the best offensive player on the team last year, is going to be playing for the Cubs in 2024. And then we can ride this and see where it goes. No more what ifs. We don't have to wonder, did we draft Patrick Mahomes? Should we have, kind of a Mahomes thing? He goes somewhere else and balls. No. Cody Bellinger's a Cub, and now we can just enjoy the ride. Sorry, White Sox fans, and see where this goes. It's fantastic. I'm super stoked, and I'm in. Like I'm over it. This is my olive branch. This is great. For me, I am. If I could do like a fist bump with front office, here's a fist bump for you guys. We're bros.
There we go. I think that's the highest praise you've given Jed and the boys in a while.
So proud of you, K-Fans.
Well
That's
deserved. For everyone tuning in live, shout out to you. Get in the chat. Let us know your thoughts. We'll definitely get into what this could mean for a few guys on the roster. I also saw, I think about a half an hour ago, Sadev Sharma wrote about what a possible trade could be. He's thinking pitchers.
Mm.
We can take a look at some of those guys and see who could be traded now. 40-man roster is full. There's going to be a move here. Maybe it's a DFA, but it's more likely they're going to try to work out a trade to get. Obviously, they have to get Cody on the 40-man roster here, and once he passes his physical, and that becomes official. But for people tuning in, jump in the chat. Let us know what you think. Surprised by at the end, Cody Bellinger going with a shorter year deal, the Correa type deal. Do you want the Cubs to go for another Boris client? Maybe is there another short-term deal out there? We'll get into that. But as always, Pinwheel is an Ivy podcast presented by Sports Mockery. Make sure to download the Sports Mockery app. Sign up through email. Get a newsletter every morning. Get the latest news on the Bears, Blackhawks, Bears again, because it's all Bears, Bears, Bears. But spring training around now. Cubs, White Sox too. And of course, the Bulls. Sports Mockery app, sportsmockery.com. All right, Kevin, let's just do a. Well, I'll let you take
what
it away.
Tommy, what are you thinking? Let's find out what you did a shot.
You did do a shot. Well, I'm trying to give Tommy some time to recover here. He had the
no,
Malort
I was fine. Just went down the wrong pipe for a second. We're good. First off,
Tommy, here, quick question for you, Tommy. Are you surprised that at the end Bellinger chose the shorter deal?
After how long it took for a deal to get done, I'm not super surprised that this is how it went down. I think it ended up that it was as long as it took, it was gonna be for probably big money for short term. I'm surprised that the Cubs gave him an opt out after both the first and second year. I would have more expected it to be after the second year and not the first year. But good for him for getting that option, because if he goes out and just stomps on the league and he's in MVP contention again, and he's batting 300 again, and he's putting bombs in the bleachers, like he can opt out immediately and then just go get more money. So good for him on that. He wanted to be in Chicago, and he's back in Chicago. So good for him on that too. I'm stoked. And while I have the mic, I need to shout out Joe at Obvious Shirts, because he hooked me up with this shirt. Cody Bellinger crushes baseballs. I told him we were streaming. He said you need. Shout out Joe at Obvious Shirts. If you know Joe, you know Obvious Shirts. He's one of the best Cubs fans out there. He's so nice to everybody. He's just so great. I'm out of words for him. So make sure you shop obviousshirts.com.
Yeah, Joe's a notoriously cruel man who treats people poorly, never does anything for the community for charity. So absolutely horrible guy. No, we love Joe.
Of people's cancer.
Yeah, but I'm so excited. It's been so great this week. I mean, just seeing the clips of camp coming out, and then watching the games progress. We saw a lot of young guys kind of make their way up, have some progress, have some incredible things happen, and then the belly news hits. It's been just great to have baseball back. It's been great that the weather's nice. I'm just happy as a clam over here, boys.
Beautiful to hear. And I'd have to say a quick recap from this weekend. Kevin came out from Vegas, hit up a music festival, also went to spring training game. First time meeting Kevin. Good dude. I can now say it in person. Good dude. But more importantly, Kevin, unfortunately, is still mourning the loss of his beer bat. I did say, after we posted our pictures from Friday, I did say, someone asked, are you even a Cubs fan if you don't have a beer bat? Because in the picture, I think, obviously Cody, shout out Cody Delmundo, Cubs, CHGO Cubs, known for his beer bat chugging ability. I did not purchase one at Sloan Park on Friday. And then I commented, I replied to someone on Twitter being like, sign Bellinger and I'll buy one. So I guess I have to pony up. Like, how much was it, Kevin? $50?
It was so for one beer bat and a Modelo, it was $52 before tip.
All right.
Where's the revenue? Where's the
Literally-
revenue?
Well,
literally,
yeah,
my
Kevin
beer
contributed.
bat.
That was the final 52 they needed.
Say my beer bat paid for the final part of that Bellinger contract. You're welcome.
I just also did my final payment for my season tickets too. So between the two,
There you go.
we bought Belly.
Yeah,
You
we
and
did.
me bought Belly.
We built that.
We
You
built
guys
it.
pushed it over the line. That's what Rick was talking about. It was like, we need the extra revenue. The payment wasn't coming in yet.
I'm always happy to contribute beer as revenue. That's fine.
Amen. Amen.
So, Kevin, we heard some rumblings. What was it, Thursday afternoon? What? So the news came out Saturday night, or was it midnight?
Well, no, it was 8:30
into
our time.
Sunday.
Well, you're talking
When
about
Passon tweeted it out.
Oh yeah, Jeff Passon tweeted it out at 12:30. It's I think 12:30. Was it?
Like
That was
Central
our
time, right?
time.
It was
That
like,
was
I think
Mountain time. It was 12:30 Mountain time.
It was-
That's
it
right.
yeah.
Yes. It was.
It was 1:30,
midnight.
1:45 here in Chicago when it
So,
when it-
Kevin, take us through Saturday night, because the Pinwheels and Ivy chat, we had the scoop 4 hours earlier.
Yeah. So as you guys might remember, we talked about it last week. On Tuesday of last week, I tweeted some eyes, and a Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds' wife cheering at the Chiefs game, because I got a text, not a text, a message from a friend that told me that I'm going to be a very happy man on Friday. Now, this person is also the former high school coach of another Scott Boras client. I got super excited. I was super stoked. Next morning, his response is, no, man. I was just saying you're going to have a great day on Friday because I know you like Greta Van Fleet. Wah, wah, wah. Now, I admitted it that I got super excited about it. I didn't actually go on record by any means. So I cleared that up. So then fast forward to, so Saturday we're at the festival. Obviously we went to the game Friday. I refused to buy any Cubs apparel, including the $50 spring training hat. Unless Cody Bellinger was signed. If he was signed, I would have bought the hat, right? So we go to the concert. We're at the festival Saturday night. We had a really good afternoon. We go see Young the Giant. And then we kind of, Macklemore goes on. So Macklemore goes on. He's playing. It's great energy, yada, 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 and everyone's laughing and having a good time. And I get a text message from someone that I've known for quite a while. Long baseball history together. And I want to read it. I want to read the exact text. And that way I don't want to misquote it, but this is what I got. And this is this was at 8:38 p.m. Here's the timestamp, 8:38 p.m. It wrote, "I'm not Lisa, ! Done deal, double check mark, but do not mention me," which obviously I don't ever reveal my sources. I'm never going to burn a source. That's fine. Unless they tell me it's cool. That's my thing. So for me, my policy, I don't go public with something unless I can confirm it from a secondary source. But you guys also were privy to everything in the chat. We were being responsible, right? We had, Tommy was writing up a couple of different versions. We're not going to post anything until we can get some full confirmation. But this person, and I think I mentioned it a few times, he was adamant that this was done. And again, somebody that I trust, somebody that I've known, still obviously have my policy. So we had this going. So of course we get a little silly. Of course, you guys, if you've ever followed me, when I do know something, you kind of can tell. We play around a little bit. We get a little mischievous with the riddles. And I wrote, "I can't wait to see Belly Bombs." That was the point in which I was trying to tell everybody that yes, he is signed, but I can't confirm it officially because I use two unrelated sources, and if I can't do that, there's a reason why I have 100% record on this. So we wait a little bit longer, but we're stoked. And at this point, I know it's happening. So I'm at Macklemore. I go over to the High West train. I do a big old shot of High West whiskey, come back. We're celebrating with Macklemore, sweating and everything. And we're celebrating. And as we're walking home, the festival ends at 11. And me and my fiance, I'm still celebrating as if it's like it's like the Cubs won the World Series again. At this point, we stop into this place called Varsity, which is an Arizona State University college party bar. And I'm like, fuck it, I'm Frank the Tank. This is fuck it, let's go. And so I'm celebrating Belly. And I'm telling random ass people in Cubs jerseys, right? I'm like, hey, Cubs signed Cody Bellinger. It hasn't been announced publicly. Just know. And they looked at me like I got a fucking arm going out of my head, right? And then we're like, ooh. And so I'm pumped and I'm, and we're dancing and whatever. And like around 12:30, I'm up in the club and Jeff Passan drops the passing bomb. Like 12:30 something or whatever. And then boom. That was it. Like, I mean, and then all hell breaks loose. You know, everybody's out there, and you know, obviously the great stuff. You know, Lisa was right on this side. We had a blast. You know, everyone was having so much fun with it. This became one of those nights where it was the most active I've seen Cubs Twitter since 2016 at 2 a.m. Because at that point it was still going. Like Twitter was like lit at 2 a.m. with people just up and down, and like I was like afraid to put my phone down. To be honest, I had to take my Apple Watch off. You know, I couldn't monitor my sleep cycles. I had to take because it was just beeping and bumping and they're constantly like vibrating because there were just message after message from fans, you know, people that I follow that I have like alerts on for, and just like obviously push notices galore. And my fiance hates me. I ate a pizza. We ordered a pizza. I got really extra spicy and got myself some fried pickles, and I literally ate the whole fried pickles, and we ate basically an entire pizza, just sitting there, just vibing, man. And that was just that. You want to talk about a great experience, the cap off the end of the festival into it, you know, all of that stuff, you know what, whether Lisa had it or not, I don't care. Because you know what, Cody Bellinger's a Cub, and the lore is, do you think, I mean, that's a great story. Like the Lisa story is absolutely fantastic. Whether or not it's true or not, who knows? But
why not? Yeah.
That's the thing. Story. Lisa's getting all the love here. It was Lisa's friend.
Yeah.
Lisa's friend is the one who heard it.
Mm-hmm. My only question is, this is a little bit of holes, is I'm told that it happened early Saturday evening. That's what I'm told when it happened. So little poke a hole. Questions is, why would the Cubs drop it at 1 a.m? Why would they not announce it Friday before the game so that people can buy Cody Bellinger jerseys and 2 sold out crowds Friday and Saturday? That is weird to me. And then again, he hasn't even signed yet. He still has to do his physical. So he hasn't signed anything. So them keep saying he signed. He hasn't signed paper because they have to make adjustments to the 40-man roster as well. So there's a little bit of holes. It's kind of like the Jason Hayward,
rain delay like secretary was eavesdropping on a call.
Right. The rain delay speech, as if nobody was just playing on their phones and he was just yelling to the clouds. We can tell the story. It's epic. It's a beautiful story. So I choose to believe that it was Lisa, even at the cost of, you know, actually being first.
Yikes. I also learned a valuable lesson too. So Fids was texting us, he said, write a blog. So I had a blog ready to go, and then I went to bed, and that was just the worst move ever. So Aldo, thank you for being Johnny on the spot. He had something up ready to go right away. And then I followed up with my spiel later in the morning when normal people were waking up, but I missed the party. I rookie mistake, you know, I know. And when the trade deadline comes around, I just won't go to bed. Like, I'll be ready to go.
That's right. No.
West Coast is always that perfect because things happen.
2 things. One, shout out Mountain Time, because it was, I think the tweet was like at 12:09, and I saw it like 10 minutes later, so I was like behind. Number 2, I was only awake because I was still I was binge watching season 1 of Love Is Blind with my wife. And I was still up, and I was like, let me check Twitter, anything happening? 10 minutes ago, Jeff Passan, breaking news. I was like,
gotta go.
Let me write this up.
Real quick, just before we move on, if the Love Is Blind thing, I love that you're watching that.
I'm starting from the beginning. I just finished season 1.
Yeah.
How many umpires are on that show?
Millions. The season 2 is when they're in Chicago. Yeah, it gets wild, dude. Like, it's a good time.
Love dramatic. I am looking forward to that.
Yes.
Season 1, Mark. Tough arc there for Mark.
We like Love on the Spectrum here in this house. It's a great show too. Real cute show. Love on the Spectrum.
My favorite is Temptation Island, but we don't have to get into that. That's a whole different podcast.
Let's say that for Pinwheels After Dark.
You get Zoe going, he'll give you the Vanderpump every week. That's where he's going.
All right, so Cody Bellinger, we know at the very least he's on the Cubs in 2024. We know that. We don't have to. No more speculating. Is he going to come back? What else are they going to? What are the Cubs going to do? The lineup is going to be terrible without him. We don't have to worry about that. Hopefully for a while. Now that he's in, the Cubs also made another minor move the day after, or a couple of days after. I think it was reported Sunday night. Garrett Cooper, 33-year-old first baseman, right-handed hitter, You would think, oh, righty, he's a big slugger. Not really. I think his career high was last year, 17 home runs. He's notorious though, where he's a good hitter because he hits lefties well. I think he has a career like 120 WRC plus against lefties. Last year was one of his best seasons against lefties. Split time with the Marlins and then got traded to the Padres last couple months. I know Kevin, you sent in how Padres people think he didn't get enough opportunities there, and if you look at the numbers, that it probably should have gotten more playing time, especially against lefties. I think Craig Mish, who broke the story first, and he covers with the Marlins. He was saying he was going on about, and obviously he's seen Garrett Cooper for 5-6 years down there in Miami. He's like, yeah, this guy's good, deserves a chance. It's
big
an
boy,
embarrassment
too.
that he has a minor league deal.
Mhm.
However, that's the key in this, because if you're Garrett Cooper, you're probably signing somewhere where you think you're going to get playing time, right? Because if you're settling between minor league deals, you probably want to go to the place where you're at least they told you that, hey, you're going to have a path here. The Cubs have Patrick Wisdom already, who seems to be entering spring training, the de facto backup first base DH platoon guy with Michael Busch. Because we pretty much know, Cubs trade for Michael Busch. He's still a rookie, 26, lefty. They don't just want to completely throw him into the water and be like, you're starting every single day. No, he was going to start most of the time, but it's mostly going to be against righties. So Cubs do need a right-handed hitter to hit against lefties. We all assume, oh, well, that's Wisdom. Now they sign Garrett Cooper, and the antennas go up, right? And then we go to the Cody Bellinger signing. Hey, 40-man is full. There's going to be a trade, right? What do you guys think? What do you guys? Yeah, who's moving? Is it Wisdom? Is it someone else? Is it Canario? Also,
First off, I just want to say Garrett Cooper, like I've seen him live like so many different times. That's a big dude. He's a big boy.
Yeah.
6'5", like 240. Yeah.
He is a big boy. So if he's coming in here, he better be hitting bombs or something, because that is a large man.
The tiny letters on those new uniforms are going to look so strange on that big back of his.
He's gonna look like the little league. So I used to work at a sporting goods store, and when we made the uniforms for the little leaguers, like you had to be a certain age group to get the 8-inch letters or the 8-inch numbers on the back. So we had these hoss like 10-year-olds who like had to be wearing the 6-inch numbers on the back. So they've got they're bigger than me, like huge backs, but they had the tiny numbers. That's what this man is going to look like in these new uniforms. He's huge. That's my analysis.
Oh man, I just saw someone attacking obvious shirts. Yeah, no, with Cooper, man. Look, we've talked about Patrick Wisdom on this show quite a bit. You guys know, if you've listened at any, for any considerable time, I've not believed Wisdom to be. I don't ever believe him to be starter worthy. I believed him to be a platoon guy on a contending team. He's a platoon guy with another a left-handed bat, because he himself, before last year, mashed lefties too. Last year, his OPS, especially if you take away April, it gets even worse. But he mashed lefties up until last year. Last year, his OPS against lefties dropped 100 points. He actually hit lefties worse than he hit righties, which is not great. And so it made me wonder, you bring in Cooper, and here's the numbers with Cooper. This is exceptional. Last year, in 2023, in 112 plate appearances against lefties, he had a 145 WRC plus. In his career, he's got a 286, 338, 478, 120 WRC plus against lefties. And this is a veteran guy, a former All-Star, 2022 All-Star. I don't care what anybody says. If you're an All-Star, you at some point, you're not too bad, right? I had a Sox fan in my mentions today. Oh, the All-Star game doesn't mean anything. Shut the fuck up. No, you're wrong. And so this is a big part about what Cooper does. So perhaps the Cubs looked at Patrick Wisdom and said, maybe there's a noticeable regression. They saw it after April. They still, he got his arbitration, I believe, right, this offseason, but it's still really inexpensive for a guy that could possibly be traded for, to another, we've talked about some of these possible deals. I think just reading the tea leaves on that, again, we talked about with my friends. I have some pretty good contacts with the Padres organization, specifically with their advanced scouting people. A lot of them were huge fans of Cooper. That's why they traded for him last year at the deadline. So someone they were trying to capture, but He didn't get the playing time from the skipper. They didn't, the scouts can't tell them what to do. They're going to do what they're going to do. That's not how the Padres run. The Padres are a little bit in chaos because of what happened with the passing of their owner. There was a lot of just chaos and salary stuff going on. Cooper might have been just one of those casualties of chaos that slips through the cracks because they were like, dude, he should have played more. They said that he could have hit 25 home runs last year too. Like, if all you just gotta play. And so I don't think that he's that deep into it, but I do think that you give the guy the right-handed starts against the lefties. But it also does something else. We've got Bush, a rookie as well, filling that left-handed bat at first base. By the way, Cooper plays really good defense at first. We got a good defender at first. That's a huge target for Christopher Morel, possibly, who has some throwing issues. Having a big dude over there sure hell makes it for a big target. Might help for a little bit too with Wisdy. With Morel. And now you have Bush going in there. If Bush goes out there and he struggles a little bit, you could say, hey, Coop, give him a spot start, go hit against the righty. It's fine. But it takes the pressure off of Bush to not have to be the guy, like we talked about last year with Matt Mervis even, and Mancini, what we thought that was going to be, but it turned out to be Aldo's boy instead. Hosmer.
Hosmer, legend, 2015 World Series champion. I respect him.
New podcast host. So this is a great
podcast competitor. He's their enemy.
Yeah. And probably future bench coach of the Chicago White Sox because he played for the Royals. So
there we go. Yeah, he'll be hired soon. But this is a great move for the Cubs. It's an absolutely fantastic move on the fringe. It is again, because this is the offseason of non-roster invitees all across the league because they're not giving out contracts. There's so many players still sitting out there. I think we're still sitting at 90 plus free agents that haven't been signed that should be inked at this point. It's not just Boras clients. Ownership they're not divvying out like real contracts. They're giving out these minor league deals, these non-roster invitee things to save money. If you pan out, maybe you get a little bit more, but they're playing it a little bit cheap after taking a couple hits from the players last couple of years. And I do think that there's a little phantom lockout going, and I've heard that from players, both Boras represented and non-Boras represented. So this is a really good deal for the Cubs in the sense that they get a guy in there that chose the Cubs. He could have gone to the Red Sox. We know that they were in there at the end as well. But he wanted to come to the Cubs. Now, why would he come to the Cubs if he didn't have a pretty good sense that he was going to be the starter? Why would he waste his time here on a non-roster invitee type contract and maybe take something where he would make the team in Boston? He would. So this is a big thing for him. So those are some tea leaves for me right here where I'm like, is there something coming more? I know the Cubs probably are set payroll wise. That $30 million from Belly basically hits what Ricketts was talking about last week when he said they're almost at threshold, but not at the threshold kind of thing, and they're going to be fine with that. So, I keep an eye on some of our, some of the Cubs prospects, maybe pitching, Wisdom. I think it kind of, we joked about it last night. If it's not Wisdom, would it be funny if it was Canario and Killiam that went to somewhere, in essence, like say for Bieber, and you basically just traded KB for Bieber just late, later, 2 years later. So it's a good move, man. It's awesome. I'm super stoked. That was a good one.
I will say too about this Cooper move, what it kind of like after the initial shock, it was like, what, why? But then you guys put the numbers in, and then I did a little more research on him too. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. You know what it kind of felt like? It kind of felt like in fantasy baseball, you almost get somebody so somebody else can't have them, So it was like, this is a good pickup for the Cubs because now somebody else who probably needs this can't have it because he's ours. Like it felt like one of those moves too, where it's like nobody's really looking this way. People are really focused on still like Snell and Montgomery and Chapman still sitting out there to name all the Boras boys. Why not go and do this? Make your roster a little better and figure it out on the back end because something's about to happen. Somebody's about to get axed basically because we need to cut to make room for Belly on the 40-man roster. Something's about to happen. So why not just do it now and figure it out?
Tommy, I'm a little concerned though, hearing what you just said. You're that guy that fucking drafts like 4 kickers and 4 quarterbacks in fantasy, aren't you? Just so nobody else can have them, and then you try and trade them later. That's you?
So this was my first year back into fantasy football because when I was in college, I had like 6 teams at one time, and I just burned myself out. I was like, I can't do this to myself. And then I just stopped. Yeah, it was so bad.
I was going to say with this Cooper signing, it very much reminds me of the Brewers just signing, or like either doing a trade where it's like, why did they give up nothing to get like a pretty good hitter, or they just sign like a pitcher that just works out for them. This is what it reminds me of, like Garrett Cooper coming off a down year, and like his down year was like he was barely below average, still killed lefties. And it's like, hey, you're getting him like basically right over the league minimum if he's on the team opening day. And if you use correctly, and that's why they're paying Craig Counsell the most money out of any MLB managers, because he knows how to play the matchups. He knows when to get guys in the lineup or not. I love it, but also I wanted to ask you guys: is there any scenario where opening day, Patrick Wisdom and Garrett Cooper are on the opening day roster, or does it just not work?
Unless they trade Madrigal instead.
If they're on the roster, that's fine. But if either one of them are in the starting lineup, we have a problem.
Unless it's a lefty opening day.
Unless it's a lefty. Sorry. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And here's the thing:
it's the Rangers. Who's starting for the Rangers opening day? Evaldi.
So it'll be Bush if he's healthy, right? Here's the thing too I love, and we talked about this in our chat. The Cooper move, obviously ink and belly now. The Cubs roster as is now allows for not just the consistent veteran proven guys, but now it affords the opportunity for these young guys, the Bush, maybe the Canario, maybe the Pete Crow Armstrong. Maybe we don't have to feel like these guys have to be juggernauts to start. These guys can actually develop the right way by getting their little cups of coffee, getting their little tastes, getting their 2 steps forward, 1 step back, positive momentum as they grow as ball players and continue to get better. But they don't have to be the dudes. Whereas like last year, I felt like if Matt Mervis got called up, save us, Matt Mervis. We need your help.
We didn't have anybody that could play first base consistently. So we had to have him save us. That's where I was at. Like before we signed Belly, it was like, we need these guys to be everything like right now. But now that we have just one guy changed the whole
so much the entire dynamic of the team.
Because on Thursday morning I was like, are we gonna win 80 games? And now on like after like Saturday and Sunday and how beautiful the weather is, I was like, I think we can get 90, boys.
I'm in for 90. I'm in for 90 now. Absolutely.
Like
and the thing is, flourishing prospects is huge because again, to let these guys come up, and again, Pete Crow Armstrong, like he's so exciting to watch. Like if you again, the base running we saw it on Saturday, right? I mean, we turn our back for 2 seconds and he's ground ball to third with a guy long hopping to first, and he doesn't stop. He's round third and he's scoring, diving in head first. Canario is helping him out, telling him down. Good things to see. God, Brennan Davis is hitting pissers and hitting bombs. All these guys are all of a sudden, they don't have to. We can catch lightning in a bottle now. You can gamble on the lightning in a bottle. That is what we didn't have the luxury of doing. You had to catch 15 lightnings in 15 different bottles with the way the roster was constructed last year. And they almost did. They caught some lightning in a bottle, which is very rare. So it means you kind of might have lost a little bit of that luck. This year, this is there's no question marks. This is an exclamation point, not a question mark. And that's what you deal with. A good, well put together roster deals with absolutes and no concerns. And then you can build out from there. They can add new arms. Bullpens change so quickly. They can bring guys up and down. They're going to have a nice battle for the rotation. Maybe you add another guy in a trade piece. All of this stuff now allows the Cubs to operate like a team in contention with a healthy farm system. And that is everything the Cubs need for success now and at the deadline and deep beyond this. And is what gets me so excited about all of this.
Yeah. And the thing is too, that, I'm not knocking David Ross. Like he helped us win a World Series championship. Manager for a while. Like there's no knock on David Ross. Craig Counsell is just a better manager than David Ross. And when the Cubs went and got him, we saw what he did in Milwaukee. The majority of baseball fans didn't know over half of the people that were on the Milwaukee Brewers, and they were consistently in the playoffs and they made it to a couple championship series. Like they were there and nobody knew who these players were. Now he comes to Chicago, where he even said himself, like, it's different here. It's sold out in the first game of spring training, first off. But then now he's got players like Bellinger, Dansby Swanson, Ian Happ, these guys that have been around the league for a while. People know their names. Now add that into what he can do with these young guys and picking their spots correctly. Like, let's say, like in the middle of the summer, Ben Brown is going to, at some point, be on this major league roster, and he's going to be coming out of the bullpen. He's going to know exactly when to put him in the game and say, go get me 3 outs or go get me 6 outs or just finish this, I just feel so much more confident knowing that he is in control of the game and is going to control who goes where and when, because the dude knows baseball better than anybody else. Like, he's so good. I'm with you, K-Fids. Like, I am so excited just because I feel like we made so much progress last year. By the way, I know I'm new here. I am a we guy because I feel like I am putting in as much investment in this team as they are. So I will say we, and I'm not going to apologize for it.
You
We
tell
as
him,
a team,
Tom.
I will. We're in a better spot than we were last year, and we had so much momentum in the back half of last year, and then it just kind of fell apart. I feel like we're not going to fall apart this year. I feel like that momentum is just going to build, and we're going to correctly divvy out the responsibilities over the summer. So that way, when late August, early September comes around, Greg Council is going to know every single player inside and out and know who he wants to take with him into October.
Yep.
Bingo.
And then just going back to just what it means, bringing back Bellinger, getting him back on in the lineup. I always talk about Kevin talks about, the question marks and exclamation points. I view it as eliminating the doubt, eliminating the bad. You go into every season, there's always going to be some risk. Yeah, Cody Bellinger can take a step back, and maybe he isn't like the great player, but he's still good, right? But maybe he takes a little step back. That could happen. That maybe say Suzuki is just he's never going to break out and be a full season star. Maybe it's going to be a couple of months at a time. Maybe Nico, the defense. I feel confident in Swanson and Horner. Morel, I think a lot of us are expecting him to at least still be that power threat. But what if it's nothing more than that? Like, there's all these things that we can say, there's little risks there. Like, it's not all a guarantee, right? These guys aren't, not all of them. At least a couple of guys are still, you feel a little uneasiness about. But with Bellinger back, just on paper and as a group, you do eliminate some of that doubt. First base, and last year was just such a joke when they started with Eric Hosmer and Trey Mancini. And it's just like, why? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And like, that's the other thing. Maybe Michael Bush, what if he's not good, right? It's like, okay, you got Garrett Cooper in there. What if Garrett Cooper doesn't work out? It's like, okay, you put Cody Bellinger at first base because, hey, hopefully one of your other like 2 or 3 outfield prospects is breaking out, and they're going to be contributing in center field, whether it's PCA, if you keep Canario, if it's Mike Talkman as the 4th outfielder, and he gives you another couple hot months. All these depth moves, and for our White Sox listeners, you guys are tuning in. We always make fun of the White Sox during their window of they just never had good depth, right? And what do quality teams always have? The Dodgers of the world, Houston, these teams that consistently make the playoffs. Every team gets hit with injuries. The Braves, teams get hit with injuries or down performance year in, year out. What do the good teams have? Quality depth.
Yep.
Guy who can step in, and hey, maybe he's not going to be the star on the team, but he'll give you a good week. He'll give you consistent defense at whatever position you plug him in. He'll have a solid on base percentage, and you're not just dying because you lost your one guy. Like they did, like last year. Remember when Cody Bellinger got hurt in Houston, and he was out for 1 month? Just offense went dead.
Yep.
Like
I'll go out on a limb and say this. I believe that this team has more back end depth than anything Jed provided the teams from 2018 before they did the fire sale in 2021. I believe that this is better. Yep. This is the back end depth that I was begging for, and everyone put all the blame on the core, but the core can only do so much if there's no back end depth. The core is fucked up front, and Jed didn't build a deep, or Jed, Theo, whoever, everyone, all of them, they didn't build back end depth. So those guys were left out to dry. So it's much easier to blame them. So they couldn't struggle. KB couldn't struggle. Javi couldn't struggle. Rizzo couldn't struggle. Schwarber couldn't struggle. Nobody could struggle because there were no back end depth to provide some sort of protection on those. When the guy doesn't, it's noticeable when KB's out because he's banged up, because there was nobody else to do it.
Yeah, there's nobody within 50% of what he can do. Yeah, that was the thing about last year. It was like the whole year, it was like, well, one guy would go down. We're like, well, we're screwed.
Yep.
Like, Nico goes down. Oh, we're screwed. Cody goes down. Oh, we're screwed. Like it was just never ending.
We have many eggs in many baskets now.
Yeah. Now it's like if Cody goes down, it's like, okay, we got backup. Like Cooper's here, Michael Bush is here, Pico Armstrong is waiting. Like talk about pitching depth. Like if I could have depth anywhere, it's going to be pitching because we have a fight. The Cubs have 8 different guys listed for 5 starting rotation spots. 8 guys that could be in.
That's without a trade.
That's without a trade. That's incredible. That's great. You want to be there. And if all 8 of those guys are doing fantastic in this spring, like if they ball out all spring, Hayden Wesneski, not so much today, but if 6 or 7 of those guys ball out, that's a great problem to have because then they're going to have to make a decision of who was kind of greater. Like that's awesome.
I'll piggyback on that. One of the most important things as a coach that you look at when you're building a roster out too is the fact that if you have guys that are automatically awarded a job because you lack the depth and they're basically given a position without truly earning it, you also have some problems. And my favorite phrase, iron sharpens iron, competition breeds excellence. You have guys competing for spots that if you don't get it done, back of the line, buddy. And now all of a sudden, when you don't have that, guys are like, I'm making the team. This team sucks. We're not good enough. I'm making the squad. Now all of a sudden, even Kyle Hendricks, hey, you're not giving him. You go perform, Kyle. I love you. But if you don't go get the job done and someone beats you out, someone beats you out. So go show me. Don't tell me. And now this is the best part of this with the depth of the rotation. 7, 8 guys are all vying for their piece of the pie. And when people are scrambling for the pie, you get their best. You get their fastest foot speed, if you will, to get to the pie first. So competition is going to completely alter the rotation. Who Tommy Hodovoy does a great job. Hodovoy does a great job with him already. Out there, Hodovoy. Did I say it right? Hodovoy? How do we say it?
Hodovoy. You got it.
Going out there, and he gets to do his job now. Hey, you look good. Tweak this. Hey, if you don't give me the best you got, if you take 1 second off, someone else is jumping you. Nobody can take anything for granted. Nothing's being awarded. Nothing's guaranteed. And that's going to make this Cubs rotation and the pitching staff as a whole so much better.
Cubs in 4.
I love it. I think the Cubs. We've been over this before the Bellinger re-signed, and we're thinking comparing this team to, or what this team could be in 2024 to what it was in 2023. I think it is a little completely lost of just how awful they were through June when they were, 10 games under. They got swept in Anaheim, I think, and it's like, well, at the end of the season, it was a different team. The offense was actually not bad. I think it was like a top 10 offense at the end of the year. It's just, again, eliminating as much bad as possible early on. You want to read this comment for the podcast listeners, Kevin?
Don Garcia Jr. asks, what are the chances of the Cubs getting Cease and Sox getting Pete Crow Armstrong? And I would say the odds, I'd put them at about the odds of me taking Kate Beckinsale to a high school prom in, Sheboygan, Wisconsin. I'd say those are about the same odds.
All right. I'll go on. I'll make my second since I'm 1 for 1.
1 for 1. Here we go.
Word bets. If that happens in 2024, if the Cubs trade Pete Crow Armstrong for Dylan Cease, I will change everything in this room to Chicago White Sox.
Ooh.
Clipped.
I mean, I was going to say that
I just going with a tattoo, but hey, you're going to redecorate. That's much better than a tattoo.
Last time the White Sox traded a starting pitcher of the Cubs won the division. So
I would like to win.
We forgot to read the tea leaves too, by the way, because yes, Jeff Passan reported it way late. If he was on my book, he would have had it just right at the 224 mark. Cody Bellinger agreed to terms with the Chicago Cubs on 2/24/24.
Bang.
Amazing.
Wow,
now,
that was only your 8th guess.
The day, right? My cult is starting again. You also had the beautiful part about the, he's showing up. He finally reported when he was still waiting for his physical, but he was back in that clubhouse the same day Dexter Fowler came back to that clubhouse in 2016. So we've got some really cool. Hey, it worked out pretty well then. Hey. We know this. The Cub fan and Cubs lore is ripe with crazy stories, from a billy goat to a nerdy guy wearing headphones, dropping a ball that Moises Alou should have fucking caught anyway. all the way down to, nobody blaming Alex Gonzalez, or, you've got, funny stories about, now Lisa has now become this iconic like story. Like Cubs fans, the Cubs lore is just chock full of these cool stories like this. And so it makes it all that much more enjoyable.
I haven't got a chance to get sentimental about the Chicago Cubs yet. I'm still only 2 weeks into this. But being a Cubs fan is so much fun because of stuff like that. And we go to Wrigley and we play ball at a beautiful ballpark that's older than dirt. And it's stuff like that that makes this fun, I'm at a loss for words. Everything you said could have brought a tear to my eye, honestly.
It's this beautiful part about it, man. I mean, we take things, again, we take a Jason Hayward speech where guys were probably tweeting on their phone or messing around, texting their girlfriends or whatever between the rain delay. And we make that an epic speech where we think that he's out there like fucking Russell Crowe telling what we have in this life echoes in eternity. It's fine. It goes into the lore. It goes into that basket. And 20 years from now, it's going to only be Lisa was right. It's only going to be all, Dexter showed up on opening day, the Hayward speech, all these stories, they just grow in legend. And that's the beautiful part about being a fan of a franchise that has been around longer than anything else in baseball. For this reason, the stories are they're there. There's more than a century of this, and it just continues to grow. And being a Cub fan, and my fiance was taken aback because she's never been, she's gone to the Cub game here in Vegas, but she's never been to like a Cub game. She's not a big baseball fan in general.
Guys, come out.
For her, it's punishment. She doesn't hate baseball. She just doesn't know it. But she's like, holy crap. And I'm like, what? She goes, this is like, she sees Golden Knights. She knows Golden Knights fandom. She doesn't understand that the Chicago Cubs fan base, there is the Cub fan base and the Yankees fan base, the Red Sox fan base really are the three, like the fan. And I explained to her, I go, when the Cubs won the World Series, the Cubs had one of the largest gatherings of people in human history to celebrate. 5 million plus down on the parade route. And she was just like, I get it. Like, she's like, I get it. And that's the coolest thing for people to see, is that being a part of this is what makes it special. There are Cub fans that you'll argue with, and there are Cub fans that you'll get along with. And we're all negative, positive, yada, yada, yada. But in the end, all we want is for the Cubs to win. And, how we get there is obviously up for debate. But in the end, when the Cubs win and are winning, everything is right in the world. And this is where we're getting to that point now, hopefully, where it's back to that golden era from 2015 to 2020, where the Cubs are making the postseason almost every year. That makes it fun to be a fan. It's hard.
Sorry, I didn't mean to get us off track. But so what you're saying is basically, with the way things are now that we got Cody, Lisa was right. It's the anniversary of Dexter coming home. So basically, I'm just listening to Green Day all summer. I'm just listening to Wake Me Up When September Ends. We're just playing playoff baseball. Is that all I'm doing?
Well, that only means if they can play Time of Our Life at the end of the season when the Cubs win the World Series on a nice montage. That'll be my 1998 Cubs song. I'll never forget that playoff game when the Cubs got knocked out in 98 by the Braves. Me, my dad, and my grandpa, 3 generations of fiddler, sitting there enjoying that game. And when the game was over, I didn't expect the Cubs to win. The Braves were pretty good that year. But when the game was over, they played that song at Wrigley, and the players were coming out, handing out bats, jerseys, hats, just interacting with the fans. It wasn't a sad day, and it was one of the most memorable baseball experiences as a fan I've ever had. And that song will always echo to me, because that was like the 1998 song, The Time of Our Lives, the other Green Day song, the acoustic song, which sounded nothing really like a Green Day song. And there's something that's going to be, and we're going to probably get a new Eddie Vedder song. Well, guess what? Guess what I did on Saturday morning? Guess what I did? Or Friday morning? I bought tickets to Pearl Jam too. So all the good Cubs juju keeps coming. I didn't realize. See, you're welcome again.
So I'm glad you brought this up, because this is kind of related. Now that like the Cubs we're vibing, right? Vibes are good in Chicago right now on the north side. The Phillies, well, Kyle Schwarber took a song to Boston, and then he took it to Philly, right? And then the Dancing on My Own song, they've been playing it, and that's what they did when they won. Do we need a song? Do we need a vibe? Like when, like
a Macklemore song, man.
Well, obviously we have Go Cubs Go, and then we have the 7th inning stretch. Like, we have traditions, and we have the YMCA during a pitching change. Like, we have all these traditions, and then after Go Cubs Go, we get Sweet Home Chicago. Do we need a vibe? Do we need like a newer vibe to get the people going, get the players going a little bit?
I think we need a little bit.
I think the closest we got, like, when Anthony Rizzo was still with the Cubs, and when Bad Blood would come on, like that was the
Right, yeah.
closest thing.
That's the thing. We need that. And
No, you're right, Todd. I've been
We need
dreaming of
something.
it ever since he left.
Yeah.
It's like there's no real song that hits anymore.
So I've been thinking about this for no less than 3 years. At least once a day, it comes in my mind trying to figure out what the song would be for the Cubs to get the vibes going like that. Because Dancing on My Own for Boston and then Philly is electric. I went to a wedding in Philly this past fall, and it was actually during the playoffs. I went to the wedding. It was during one of the games, and the bride, huge Phil's fan. And so the last song of the evening, they played Dancing on My Own. And during one of the breaks, I just screamed Phil's in 6 and everybody went crazy. And then it died down. I said, the Cubs in 4. And then I walked out of the room.
You know what? You know what we should? It should be an assignment because you know where you're going to find the best vibe songs right now? I hate to say this as an old man.
Internet? TikTok. Oh, no. Yeah, you're right.
You're going to run into a vibe song on TikTok. And why do I feel like it's going to be a Post Malone song? he's changing his whole vibe right now, too. But I think the best part about this is you got to wait. You got to wait and see how this team gels and figure out what this team's vibe is.
That's
and then
the thing. Like,
find that vibe within how they come out of the gate.
I can't pick the song.
Right.
Nico, Dansby, Ian, Seya.
You know who it could be?
I just Seya has
Taylor Swift.
Seya has a playlist of bangers.
Or Miley Cyrus. Is it Miley Cyrus or Taylor Swift he likes?
We don't know his repertoire. He's going to be, at least at the very first round, they're going to give him the time at first base. What if Michael Bush just comes out of nowhere? And he just has all the vibes at Wrigley. We don't. I'm looking forward to that first walk up.
If Michael Bush comes out of the gate hot and he wants to pick a song for 2024, Joe at Obvious Shirts can put it on a t-shirt. I'll buy 8 of them. I'll give them out to people. Like, I'm ready. I am ready for a vibe.
What if it's like? No, that's not. I'm just thinking Bush. You can't. There's no vibe song with Bush.
No. It's got to be like Michael Bush has to come out of nowhere. It's got to be like Bad Bunny. Like it's just got to be.
It's
something where you're like, wait, what? Michael Bush? Why is Bad Bunny on? Wait, we're into it. We're vibing.
It's got to be something over 5 years old. That is a song that like it was a banger, but nobody really like paid attention to it. You know, it's got to be something like that.
What about this? I love this one. This one's always fun.
Are you allowed to play songs on YouTube?
For a couple seconds at a time.
Oh, okay.
No.
We're not? That's a little Midnight City from M83. They always got some good.
Oh, okay. Something local would be cool, but I won't be picky. I'm telling you, I've been thinking about this for 3 years, and I still don't have an answer. So
Portugal the Man always has some good ones. Ooh.
That's the thing, though, Tommy. The best ones are the ones that just we don't think about.
Just pop, yeah.
It just pops.
Yeah. It's kind of like when people say, like when people are trying to have a child and they can't for forever, and then they're just like, you know what, like it'll happen when it happens, and then they immediately get pregnant. I want to be pregnant with a song for the Cubs.
We need to.
I don't know what's the chorus of that. Okay, wait till you get to the chorus. So this is the one that you'd like.
It would be.
I don't want to get copyright.
It would be dope if it was like "Take on Me" or something like that. You know.
There we go.
Who could play that? Who would be on that?
And it's got to be a band that's still together. Got to be a band that's still together, so that way when we're making our final playoff push in September, like the last weekend of the year at Wrigley, they can play it like just from the patio in like in the right field corner. They're just set up and they just play the song.
I was gonna say the other thing that sucks about the walk-up songs now, it's like with the pitch clock, you get less time. You don't get that build up anymore.
Add that to the list of complaints that I have about the pitch clock.
I did want to get back into a little bit of potential moves, and as we mentioned earlier, with talking about Cooper coming in, Bellinger, obviously, With Cooper, the Cubs don't have to decide to put him on until the end of spring training, but obviously Bellinger, once he passes his physical this week, the Cubs are going to have to make a move here. 40-man roster. We were talking about, maybe it's wisdom, but over at The Athletic on Monday night, Sahadev Sharma wrote about how he believes, as part of his notes, that the Cubs are likely to move one of their pitchers off the 40-man roster. Who do you? I mean, you mentioned one of the possible names, Kevin. It could be a Caleb Killian. He's still on the 40-man.
Tell you what, it better not be Dickie Love.
I hope no. He cannot.
I need him to be legendary.
I mean, I'm looking at the list right now. Keegan Thompson coming off a tough year. He's on the 40-man. Mark Leiter Jr. Is there some trade value there? Bailey Horn. I think he was added or over the offseason.
Can I throw something crazy out on this topic?
Yeah.
And if you want to berate me, by all means, I can take it. This has been on my mind for a while with so many young pitchers that we have coming up. Is Drew Smiley one of those guys?
If a team, because he does have stretches of being like a good starting pitcher, and obviously he blew up last year after June.
He would be really good for somebody,
Someone,
right?
he could be very good.
Yeah.
Or he could be the Mike Montgomery.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But I feel like that's a name that could be considered in this scenario, right?
Mm-hmm. Veteran
guy. I mean, I was there last year when he almost no-hit or perfectoed the Dodgers. Yeah, I was there. So I take full credit for that. But it seems like that would be one of the guys, and that's a name that they put out there for that type of situation, and the league kind of goes, whoa, like, oh, it's like that,
And if Ricketts was being honest about like, we're really pushing up against this tax threshold, Drew Smiley is going to be making like what, $12 million this year. That would be another big chunk of salary that could come off.
Another guy that's kind of on the books for it's not a pitcher, but I mean David Bodie, he's owed $5 million this year. I think this is the last year.
So this is the last year. Man, that
he hit a bomb the other day.
David Bodie.
I love David Bodie.
He's just, what I was going to say is like, he's just like the ultimate pro, because he could have said, well, no, because he would have lost his money. But I mean, he's just been riding around the bus at AAA for like a year and a half.
Do you remember he was the original? This guy can totally replace KB guy with Cub fans.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like he played his cards perfectly.
Oh yeah.
He had the bomb second half of a season when he came up and said, "I want to be with this team for forever." And they were like, well, we'll cut you a deal now because you look like you're going to the Hall of Fame. And then what happened?
He hit so many highlight home runs that people they only saw the highlights instead of the other stuff in between.
That walk-off grand slam. Yeah. So I was watching, shout out the Irish Oak off of Clark Street. It's dead. It's closed. RIP. It's my favorite spot in the world. I was watching the game there on Sunday night. And then at the bottom, 2 outs, David Bodie's coming up. I was like, I'm going to go ahead and pay my tab. Paid my tab, ready to walk out the door. Crack of the bat. From the crack of the bat until like 8 a.m. sitting at my desk, I have no idea what happened. But I did not go home, and I went straight to work. It was the craziest night of my life.
Well, that's what was it? That was 2018. That made the Nationals sell, I think.
Santa La Maria!
Great call. I know people shit on Matt Vasgersian, but I love his home run calls.
He's the only guy in the MLB The Show video game who could actually say my last name, so I have much respect.
All right, there you go.
Don't ask Zoe to do it. Don't ask Zoe to do it. Heads up. Just. I mean, or do it.
This is a conversation we need to have now because it's probably going to happen soon. Because Belly needs to be on this roster,
right.
So somebody's about to get cut. So
if it's a pitcher,
here's the thing is they can't file the contract with the league and not do it. So you'll know the minute they've actually filed his contract because they do have to make a parallel move.
Yep.
a corresponding move or whatever. So I mean, it could happen tonight. We may find out tonight. Who knows?
Should I punish myself for missing the Cody Bellinger news and stay up all night
Stay
waiting
up.
for this?
You know, it's like the hard thing is you put your phone on sleep mode, and that really ruins everything.
On the ground.
But it could happen. I mean, they have to make a move. They have to do something. There's no 41-man roster. So
yeah.
Do you think?
Who knows?
Yeah, no. It's looking at the names here. It's just again.
Does anybody in the chat have an idea of what they should do?
Right. Like, I mean, is it Wisniewski? Are they done with Wisniewski? Well, I don't think so because Craig Counsell was talking him up.
I think they'd be done with
Killian.
Killian.
Going the way of.
They would be done with Killian before they were done with Wisniewski.
Yeah, I think Killian could be. I think it doesn't have to be a trade. It could just be a straight up DFA.
So I was talking to you guys in the chat about this. If we were going to make a move for Bieber, which if I had to bet on it now, I don't think we're going for it. But if we were going for it, don't the Guardians super like projects? Because Caleb Killian would be just delightful for them. You know, here's a guy we believed in, kind of has some struggles. You guys might be able to figure him out. Can we have your best pitcher? Huh?
I mean, you got to probably send him another guy. You got to send him another.
Well, yeah, something. Well, yeah, then we go Canario, and then
no, I think it would literally have to be.
I have a question.
I swear though, it would be the greatest.
No, but here we go. I think this is how this should work. If we trade Canario and Killian for Bieber, I say we also get KB back. That's fair.
I'm fine with that. I'll tell you this: if it was Canario, I mean, if it was a KB for Bieber back in 2021. I wouldn't nearly have been as heartbroken because they didn't get teenagers.
But also, why the hell would they have gotten Bieber in 2021?
Right. So it in a weird back end way, that would be really a funny story. At least again, that would add to the lore, right? KB still helping the Cubs out, right? With KB, he was over there, and now the guys that they got for him are now bringing in Bieber, who then becomes that lockdown guy in the rotation, and whoop, next thing you know, we're dancing around.
I think Bieber gets moved like July. So I think they do want to, because again, like I'm telling you, Cleveland. I mean, we're talking about a team who also doesn't spend a lot of money in free agency year after year. So like they need to hit on their trades, and they do a pretty good job. They do. And then obviously their scouting and drafting as well have been pretty solid.
So let's talk about down the line here. When the trade deadline comes around in July, the Cubs are either up 2 games or within 2 games of the division lead. Let's say the Cardinals are doing something stupid. Maybe even the Reds. But
only 2015 with those names on their roster.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Brandon Crawford.
Did somebody say St. Louis?
But let's say that the Cubs are either within 2 games or they're up 2 games, somewhere in that range, right?
Okay.
They're going to be so active at the trade deadline because they have so many assets, and they could, the way that they are constructed with the assets that they have in the minor leagues and what they have at the major league level too, that is dispensable almost. They will feel like the New York Yankees of like, we can go get whatever we need or whatever we want.
Healthy farm, stable barn.
Exactly. It's kind of a weird spot to be. I haven't felt
Trademark.
this confident about a Cubs team since like when we were 2015 making a little progress. 2016 we win the World Series. 2017 we were probably a couple pitches away from doing something else. That's when it started going downhill, right? I feel like we're approaching that 2015 era again of like we're about to announce our arrival, and then we're going to go try to get one. So,
and the best part is that they have a draft team in place that takes that kind of decision making out of the hands of Jed Hoyer, notoriously poor drafter.
Yeah, but that's the thing too. It's like and that's the thing too. Like even in 2015, 2016, like it felt like we were coming up, but then we sold the barn to go do this, right? And we only got one out of it. With Carter Hawkins as the general manager, Jed Hoyer as the president, I mean, Theo is a god in this city for forever. I almost feel a little bit more confident about the future of the Cubs than I did then, because I feel like Theo's just not going to, and Carter, they're just not going to give up anybody for anything, right? They're going to strategically put themselves in a good position for the future and the present.
Well,
They
that
learned
reminds me of this
they learned
question that we got earlier.
They learned.
Hey guys, do you think the Cubs will trade the prospects like they did in 2016 to win the World Series? Do you think they are close to winning the World Series? May I?
You may.
They will trade prospects, but they won't have to sell everybody because they have so much ammo.
Mhm.
And they are, and like I'm biased. I'm a meatball, and it says it in my Twitter bio. I'm a meatball. It's close. I feel like we're super close.
And with
I
that
do-
talent and the depth, they don't feel like they have to do it. They can walk away saying, you know what? I'm fine with letting Canario play this out, or I'm fine with letting, Jordan Wicks, give it a shot. We're good with that. But
Yup.
we're not going to give you as much because we are fairly confident in our farm system and these players that you might think that we're going to give you, stop saying like the Cease thing. Stop. They're not, the Cubs aren't desperate enough for Dylan Cease. They got enough depth that in fact, Pete Crow Armstrong, don't let those letters off your mouth because they don't need Dylan Cease anymore. It'd be nice to have them, but they've got plenty of arms that could very well do as well as Cease did last year.
We'll just wait for Dylan Cease to not get traded by the Sox again, and then we'll just sign him.
Yeah. There's no rush. There's no pressure. There's no forced moves now because of the depth they've built and the farm system.
I'm probably making enemies on the South Side. I don't have any. I know that there's this crosstown rivalry. I don't hate the White Sox.
I think I'm with you.
Yeah. I don't hate the White Sox.
It's all fun and games. It's we're just poking fun.
Now let me get this. Let me set this record though. I would love for there to be a rivalry. I want two good baseball teams in this city.
I've been begging for a red line series for so freaking long.
When in 2020 we didn't even get to have that, because we weren't out at bars hanging out with Cubs and Sox fans. I feel like we missed it. We haven't really had it since 2008, right?
That was the last time both teams were good. But
at the same time, right? Yeah, it's the last time they were good at the same time. I want desperately for the White Sox to be good and the Cubs to be good at the exact same time because I want there to be a rivalry. I want there to be jealousy. I was at the game when Eloy hit the home run and Benetti hit the thanks Cubs hit the words or the call, and I was pissed, obviously, but I laughed because I was like, it's the passing of the torch in the city. Here we go. Finally, I can be mad at the White Sox for something. I want two good teams in this city.
I've ever since they've been talking about expansion and maybe they realign divisions. I would love the idea of the Cubs Sox in the same division. I'd be all in for that if that were ever to happen.
Yeah. But anyways, we're not trading for Dylan Cease. That's not going to happen. I don't. Yeah, no chance in hell on that. But
that's White Sox fan holding on to the wagon a little bit there, the water wagon.
But the trade deadline is going to be really interesting for the Cubs. I don't want to go too forward here. I don't because we're 3 games in the spring training, and I'm not gonna, or 4 games in or whatever. I'm not gonna act like I know everything right just now. But I think the Cubs are going to be in a position to make a push, and it's going to be interesting to see which teams that are on the bubble go one way or the other and being like, okay, this guy's now available. What if the Mets go downhill a while? They're like, Pete Alonso's available. What if the Marlins aren't good and they're like, hey, TA is having a ridiculous year. Not that he would play shortstop, but that it would just be crazy to see who does what to get who. And every move at the trade deadline connects to the next move. It was oh, this guy's not available now, so now I have to pay a premium to get this guy,
What if Cooper struggles a little bit and the Cubs say, hey, there's a righty in New York, let's go get that guy.
Exactly.
Play first base.
Well, I think if that happened, everybody Bush was terrible because it's man, we're not getting anything from him.
Right, yeah.
It has to be a mass casualty, as far as that's concerned. It has to be a mass fail.
Yeah, but I mean, there's always
to fix that though. It's a fixer.
There's always 3 or 4 relief pitchers in major leagues that you've never heard their name before, but at the trade deadline, they're the hottest target.
Hottest guy. Yeah.
There's probably a guy out there that the Cubs are going to trade for. We don't even know his name right now. We're not going to hear his name until June because he's on the Royals, and the Royals suck, but he can throw 100 gas in the zone for no reason. Like,
Yeah, like
it's
I mean,
how it goes.
think back to 2016. Like how many people had Mike Montgomery on the radar in
Zero.
July?
Zero. Zero. I mean, even guys like David Robertson, when the Cubs had David Robertson, like I
He
knew
was
David
coming off an
Robertson, but
injured year. Like
yeah,
he was
but the
coming back from
casual
surgery.
yeah, the
Yep.
casual fan never would have been like, he's gonna help the Phillies get to a World Series. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, no, that's and I do with all these moves, or not all these moves, but with these new types of moves, because ever since Jed Hoyer took over in his front office with Carter Hawkins, it's always been before last year. Really, it's always been like sell mode, right? It's like, all right, we need to replenish the system. We need to focus on the long term. We're not really considering the short term MLB team winning wise. So it still is a mystery, right? We kind of saw it a little bit last year. Like they did trade for Jamie Candelario, but like it wasn't like he was having a good season, but it's not like he was a marquee name, right? He wasn't Pete Alonso available at the trade deadline. It was he was having a good season. He's the best bet because he was hot for 3 months with the Nationals.
Right.
So like that is still a bit of mystery. How aggressive will Jed Hoyer feel? Like if let's say the Cubs, let's say forget about 2016. Let's just say they're like they have a comfortable lead in July. They're 7 games up at the All-Star break. It's a good team. Guys are hitting, everyone's contributing, but man, we still don't have that shutdown reliever, right? It's like, Alzolai's fine, but maybe it's another Hector Rondon season. Hector Rondon was pretty freaking good, but he wasn't that lockdown guy. I don't think the Cubs are going to be trading PCA for like a closer. So
No,
like,
but the thing is,
but it's just still such a mystery of at what depths will they go if they do believe, okay, no, we have a World Series team here. We just need that one missing piece.
yeah.
How aggressive do they get?
Well, let's say that PCA is an A and a B and a C make an A. The Cubs have plenty of B and C's to package to go get
That's
somebody
true.
else, right? Without
Like
people
I do
harm.
feel, and I think I've been saying I did think it was going to happen already this offseason. But there's definitely going to be one of these outfield prospects that we all have our favorite outfield prospects. I don't think it's going to be PCA. That guy, I think, is with the Cubs. They believe him.
He'll be
But
with the
one of
Cubs
these guys, it's going to hurt when they
Tom
get like a
doesn't
Kevin
want-
Alcantara. If he gets moved,
Yeah.
I know it's going to hurt Kevin. If Owen Casey, for any reason, if he gets moved in a deal, because hey, that guy has MLB power. But if you
I
can
don't
get
know,
something
he's
really good,
Yeah.
I think I
Yeah.
do think they eventually do pull the trigger.
No, yeah, I agree with you. Something's gonna come. And I don't know. Jackson, that was just an analogy. I know a B and a C doesn't make an A. I was just making an analogy. But I saw Troy's comment right here that says, any chance Cubs could still get another Boris client, specifically Chapman, JD Martinez, or Montgomery?
Great
I think
segue.
that's a very fun topic to talk about because if I were to put money on it, I'm not going to make a verbal bet, but if I were to put money on it, I would say no. But how badass would it be if they were just like, we're going for it?
I'm
And
going to
they
make
go,
up 2 scenarios here, and I wrote about it a little today. Check it out,
please.
sportsmonitor.com.
Hey,
2 scenarios, because I think we've gotten to the point now. I mean, it's about to be March. If the Cubs either option A, they say they believe Christopher Morel, he's going to be good enough defensively at third base. We feel comfortable. He's going to be our guy, or at least semi-regular guy at third base. DH, we can switch guys around. Maybe when Bush isn't starting at first, he DHs Garrett Cooper. What do they do with that? Maybe it's still Wisdom, but it's not like Cubs don't have a set DH right now, right? It's more of a platoon thing right now.
right? Yeah.
So JD Martinez, pro hitter, slugger. He's a slugger. He's gonna hit home runs. You know that.
Yep, always does.
would you prefer him 1 year, let's say between 15 and 20 million, or option 2, Cubs don't feel so confident in Morel. It's like, we still love his bat, but the defense isn't there yet. Matt Chapman, no one's offering you a 5-year deal. We'll give you 2 years, 45 million with an opt-out. Go prove it. What are you guys picking? Do you want JD or Chapman?
This is the cool thing, though, about everyone's bitched and moaned. "Hey, we need a deadline, blah, 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 blah," whatever. This is where we're at now. The Cubs, because everything now, look, sluggers, DHs, honestly, guys like JD Martinez will show up opening day ready to play, period, right? So you actually, especially if you're like courting the idea of maybe a JD Martinez, it actually allows you to give Christopher Morel enough time to show if he is going to be enough of the answer. And if he isn't, you go a different way because you have him as your DH. If he does ball out and he's been playing first couple games, he's made a couple really nice plays. He's been consistent over there. His footwork looks good, by the way. I watched, some of the things I keyed in early in the ball game. His footwork looked really good. That is an improvement. That's one of the biggest things for a guy like him because the footwork leads to better fundamentals, especially mechanical thrown across the diamond.
Don't hit your mic.
Opportunities. Yeah, I was like, punk bitch. But you get this whole the situation where you actually can slow play a little bit more. JD Martinez, if he doesn't sign until March 20th, whatever it is, he's going to be ready to go. And so you can actually say, let's give Chris a little time. And if he's not the answer, we wait. But if he is the answer, hey, let's go pop this bopper. Maybe Martinez knows it. He sure as heck ain't going to sign with the Giants, right?
Sorry. Yeah, that's the thing with these big names. Like they're at the point where I don't think any of these names that are left, nobody's signing for a multi-year deal. I can tell you that right now. That's how I feel.
They're not at home struggling, desperate, eating ramen for dinner every night.
Right. Yeah. They don't need to sign for a big. They're not, obviously at this point, they're not going to get a big deal, right? They're not going to get what they thought they were going to get at the beginning of free agency. They're not going to pin themselves to a low ball long-term contract. They will take the 1-year deal and say, fine, I'll play this game and go get it. I don't think that the Cubs are going to do anything else big like this, like a Chapman or a Montgomery. Chapman and Montgomery, those would be my two favorites, but I really don't think it's going to happen. I think if Morel is not working out at third base, and you're obviously not going to rely on Nick Madrigal to be the guy at third base, I think that's where the trade deadline comes in. That's when you're looking at a move like that. If the Cubs are rolling and at third base isn't great, you deal with Morel and Wisdom and Madrigal at third base while you have Bush and Bellinger doing first base, maybe a little Pete Crow in the outfield. I don't know.
You get that lightning in a bottle with Matt Shaw.
Correct. Yeah, you get the lightning.
He did not look overmatched in any way, shape, or form. He hit the ball hard.
That's all he does. That's all he does. He always hits it hard.
Yeah. If I am Matt Shaw right now, I'm saying I want everything at third base. Yep. Give me all of the reps at third base.
That's all he did all offseason.
Third base, because if he I'm not going to bet. I'm not going to say it. If he only plays third base in the minor leagues this year, who's to say lightning in the bottle doesn't hit and he is up here in August playing third base for the Cubs in the middle of a pennant race?
I'm going to one-up you, bro. I think that if he plays every day, wherever he's playing, I think he's going to be by the end of May. After the first month and a half of the minor league season, I truly believe that he's going to be already making that case. He hasn't done anything but rake wherever he's at. And every place they put him, he's overly advanced because he's already developed. He's over advanced. So he's not a 19-year-old. He's there.
And then you're sitting with Morel and Madrigal and Wisdom, two guys who can hit the ball super hard, and one guy that is really fast and fun sometimes. Trade deadline's coming up. Have too many of them. You don't need all three of them. Somebody could use one of those three guys. Mm-hmm. And then you find the hole in the roster and go take care of it.
Yep. Right. Matt Shaw is that big. He's my dark horse. If you want to use that word dark horse, if you were doing bold predictions this year, my bold prediction is that he earns his cup of coffee because he's going to do it at AAA. he got juice balls. Man, come on, he's gonna hit. He's gonna.
Matt Shaw as a
Full
third
confidence.
baseman. If Matt Shaw just sticks to third base and learns third base, by God, like go ahead and retire his number. I don't even care.
It's gonna be fun. But you probably haven't heard this. I have a KB's brother-in-law played at Maryland as well.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he said he's had nothing but like great. He says Shaw is there, like because obviously he's an alumni, so he's
Right.
He was already when the Cubs drafted him. He's like, dude, wow, that is a gold mine right there. So there's a lot of confidence with guys that played with him. They know the dude is just he's that guy. He's like a Nico Horner, man. It didn't take Nico very long either to be really as long as he was healthy.
What Nico got drafted in 18, he was up August of 19, right?
Yep.
So he's one of those guys.
September 2019. Yep. Well, all the
He was
shortstops.
drafted in 22, August of 20, or he was drafted in 23, August of 24.
I'll bet you to say Shaw's more developed than him at that time. I think that he's not as developed as KB was, but I think that he was beyond where I think I would put his development where he's at this age, where Schwarber was. That's just where I would put him.
Okay. Yeah,
that's obviously different players, but developmental wise, that's where I would put him. Schwarber was before the league got kind of a little bit of word out. Schwarber was absolutely incredible because the league didn't know what to do with him. Shaw would probably do something similar until they figure it out. But I think that Shaw eventually will become more than just more obviously than the Schwarber type thing. He's going to be a rounded guy.
I think too with Madrigal or not Madrigal. I'm sorry. With the thing with Horner, when Horner was coming up, that was more of like a necessity. When he came up, the casual fan was like, "Who? Wait, what? Who?" And then now with Matt Shaw feels like more of a name where people know because I think that part of that too is more people were focused on the draft in 2023 when the Cubs were not so great compared to when Nico got drafted, being like, why aren't we winning another World Series? Like
this podcast has been a Nico Horner truther podcast from the get-go. We've been saying Nico was ready. When people were saying that Nico was going to be a bad, not a very good infielder, but wasn't going to be able to hit well. Tommy, love you, Tommy.
I didn't say that.
Not you, other Tommy.
Oh, thank God.
Wrong Tommy. Sorry, I forgot you're Tommy. Dang it. No, I joke with full out Tommy all the time because he was down on Horner so bad, and we joke about it because the fact is, hey,
shout out full out Tommy.
You can see I love Tommy too. Like, and that's the thing is like to this day he's like we joke. It's something we can joke about now. Back then I was like, come on, man. No, he's fine. Like there was some negativity towards Horner. Yeah. Not all Cub fans were buying in, and. Look, I'm ready to ride that train all year this year. He'll be my Nico Horner 2.0. I think, again, like I said, I think he's more developed than Nico was at that time. I know that Nico came up a little bit more out of necessity a little bit too. At this point, Matt Shaw's going to come up because you can't hold him down much longer. You don't need to, especially unless someone's blocking him, which I don't believe in that. I really don't. If you're performing at great, cool. The more hands on deck, the merrier.
That's how good of an athlete. That's how good of an athlete that Matt Shaw is because like he can see, the Cubs, like you can say Christopher Morel, whatever. The Cubs do not have a third baseman right now. Mm-hmm. Go play third base. Go learn third base. Go be the third baseman. It's there for the taking.
And the thing about Shaw, they've said he's a mature guy. Yeah. He reads the room well. He knows the score right now. He's not a guy that's going to be like, he's not a balls to the wall, like fly out of, he is a logical, that's what makes him so mature. He's a mature person that sees this and knows what he can do and what he has to do to get there. He's not someone that thinks he's owed something. He's going to go out there and rip it from your hands if he has to. And that makes it more exciting down the line.
So I was born in Chicago, diehard Cubs fan, obviously, but I grew up in Atlanta. And I was around the time of Chipper Jones when Chipper Jones was coming up, right?
Larry.
Chipper Jones, drafted as a shortstop, comes up into the league, plays a couple games as shortstop, moves to left field because he had to play somewhere, and then he found the home at third base. Matt Shaw, let's say he comes like he's obviously second base, shortstop, middle infield. He's learning third base. I'm not saying he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer who should have been voted in unanimously. That's a conversation for another day. But he could come up, be the third baseman if you want.
Maybe second ballot.
Second ballot. Yeah. I just like there's just so much excitement about this Cubs team. Like this is such a happy stream. This is a good stream. Look at our smiles. Look at us smiling, boys.
I
I'm not
say
even
one of
wearing pants
the
right now. I'm not even wearing pants right now. That's the thing. I'm just down here.
one of the great things about
Hope so. You want to see
this
happy?
podcast where we also talk about the White Sox is that we got into the Nick, or I remember at the beginning I got into the Nick Madrigal versus Nico Horner debate, and I'm glad Nico is proving me way right
By the
on
way,
that
where's
one
Mitch?
so
I
far.
thought Mitch was coming to hang out tonight. I don't.
Yeah, Mitch, big hater. Who knows?
He was like, "Hey, I'll be
Unfortunately-
on tonight." I haven't seen him once.
Not one.
Unfortunately, there was a big meth house bust that included a fire as well as somebody, unfortunately, getting caught. Well, it's Missouri, so if Cardinals fans, more than likely, someone got their yin yang caught in the power outlet trying to make it fit.
Yeah, I'll save the NASCAR talk for Wednesday night.
Monday
I was
night.
gonna say, yeah, for people still tuning in, and if you want White Sox talk, they'll be it Wednesday night. We're still gonna be streaming. You guys are gonna be streaming, 8 p.m. Central. Mitch and Zoe will be on as well.
We're getting it out of the way for you guys. All the Sox fans, we're getting it out of the way for you now.
Yeah,
We're gonna get 2 hours of it on Wednesday because what are you going to talk about with that lineup giving up 6 runs in the bottom half of the inning against the Cubs in the first day of opening
Kevin,
day?
you should break down Jesse Chavez.
That was fun. And Whiskers Morel almost hit me with the home run to left. That was beautiful.
I was looking
That's
for you
Morel.
guys. I was looking for you guys on the broadcast. I didn't see you.
I screenshotted.
right on the field.
I screenshotted myself on the Shaw double down the line, which had it.
Maybe I wasn't looking hard enough.
The English on that pisser. You'll see me. I'm wearing my Nico Horner shirt, so blue shirt, white shorts, sitting on a jacket. So there's no blanket under me. So look for the person that doesn't have a blanket. It's just a jacket that I was sitting on.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't record it, so I'm not gonna go back to Friday's broadcast.
You can check it out. MLB TV has all spring training games for free right now. You
Did
can
they
go back
auto,
in the
did they
archive.
auto renew you without your permission too? Or
Yeah, but they're not. No, they do not have all spring training games because they did not have it today. And MLB
The ones that they televise. Oh yeah, Tommy, I'm
MLB
glad you brought that up.
first.
I have
Sorry.
no idea how. And honestly, I don't think this was as much a Cubs issue because the Cubs have been doing a pretty good job with Marquee. They get almost all the games, but it's 2024. Are spring training games the most important? No, but you have a dying fan base overall. Give the people who still care, and there's plenty.
You
Give them something.
You created your own freaking network. When the Chicago, I don't care if it's spring training, I don't care if it's regular season, postseason, I don't care if it's fall ball, I don't care if it's fall league, I don't care if it's just guys out there getting their reps in. You have your own freaking network. I want a camera on any field that a Chicago Cub is doing something baseball related and putting it on your freaking network. I don't
Bare
need to
minimum.
Cubs are out here hiring like a fucking
I don't need to see the top 10 Cubs plays of all time. I know them. Okay. I know them. I want to see the baseball happening at that time.
You got to buy more beer bats.
The Cubs, they cut corners.
By
They
the
just
way-
they hired a courtroom sketch artist, and they're just going to show the pictures of each game at the end. This is a picture
By the
of
way,
Morel hitting a home run.
By the way, shout out Roman and Kenzie. I was on the MVP game with my wife.
Oh,
Network. We were on season 1.
you know, Tommy,
Finale. So
you know, Justin and I went to high school together, right? Played high school baseball together.
it doesn't surprise me because you know everybody. So
Yeah, Justin and I played club ball together, even when we were in middle school. So I've known Justin since I was 13 years old. Great dude. Kenzie's awesome.
Yeah, they're
Congratulations,
both
by the
great.
way, I know you're probably listening at some point, Justin.
They're
'cause
both
you want-
great. The baby's adorable. They Kenzie posted a video of Rose swinging the baby. And so I replied to her. I was like, 7 out of 10 swing. If he just brings the angle down a little bit, that's a double in the gap every single time.
Yeah, they're great. Yeah, so if you haven't
Yeah,
watched,
they're awesome.
that's great that you got to go on there. I couldn't take my fiance on there; we'd lose. It would just be me talking and her going, "Wait, is there Vanderpump questions? What about the actions?"
So my dad and I were quizzing my wife like the night before. We were like trying to figure out like how she did very well in the game. And we lost we lost on a tiebreaker. That was how many Cubs hats do you have? And you had to send a picture in, right? I could only find like 20 something of mine. I know I have a bajillion, but I could only find 20 something of them. This guy that I was playing, he sent in a picture with every hat with a Chicago logo on it. It wasn't just Cubs. It was Bulls and Hawks. There was a Sox hat in there and a Bears hat, and they counted all of them. So I should have won.
Demand a recount. Go back.
Yeah. I should have won, and I didn't. But I didn't pitch a fit because it was just a game, and I'm not bitter about it, and I don't lose sleep about it every single night.
Lisa was right.
Kevin, you
Lisa
gotta
was
text
right.
Roman. You gotta text your boy.
I'm
Send him a
like,
message.
Justin, you need
Like,
to
hey,
look at these rules. Could have some rule changes. We'll call it the Tommy rule.
I had him on the podcast that I did by myself a couple years ago, and I told him, I was like, "You guys cheated. I should have won."
He was so happy.
challenging this is under review.
Yeah, definitely.
Him and I get some heated texts going too. That's we have for forever with especially during the quote unquote retool. And he's always like, Schwindel was the next coming of God, and his, everything is Justin will. He wouldn't say shit with a mouthful of manure about the Cubs. Like it is always. It doesn't matter. The optimism is there. Obviously, me as a high school coach and been coaching for as long as I have, the logic goes out, stays around. And so the motion, I've lost that. I used to be that way, but as I've coached, I've obviously seen enough. And so him and I always go at it. But he's like, "Oh, you're back." And I'm like, "Dude, I wasn't ever out. I was just pissed off at everybody. Like I was pissed off at Ricketts and Jed for lying and blah blah blah." I'm like, "I didn't leave." I'm like,
I'd say Justin.
Game. I was just mad.
Justin,
like, love you. I just don't like you right now.
Justin, great Cubs fan. Great Cubs fan. Like I know good Cubs fans when I see them. He's a good Cubs fan.
Yes, he is. He is an absolutely fantastic human being. Like,
great guy too. And he's got some new music coming out, so check it out.
Yeah, I saw them here when they played here back in the day at the where were they at, Venetian or no? Where the heck?
Eyes Closed So Tight, baby.
Oh,
banger.
In high school he was in a Boys to Men cover band group.
Yeah.
Him and Mo Rosario, another noted Cub fan. They would sing "I Make Love to You" to the high school.
Maybe that's the vibe song that comes out of nowhere. Some Boys to Men.
Justin, yes. Ro creates a new hype song for the Cubs.
He did a good hype. Did he do a hype song a couple years? Didn't he do like the one hype song a couple years ago? Or am I thinking wrong? He did like no, I'm like talking like 2013, 14, maybe even earlier than that.
He's got something coming out with DJ Flipside and Pitbull.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. Oh man, that was funny. By the way, side note, we were in Scottsdale yesterday. Although you might get this too because you've probably seen it before. We were in Old Town. There was an entire 12-person brunch group of women in bald caps dressed exactly like Pitbull. All of them the same. Pitbull all the way down the line.
Oh yeah, I saw your tweet.
Dying. I'm like, that's amazing. I guess they do bald cap brunches and they do like Voldemort. So I'm sure they're going to do a Dave Kaplan, who is Voldemort, but fine.
Uno, dos, tres, brunch.
Smoke jumpers or jump smokers?
Hey, a Pitbull song could bring the vibes. If Michael Bush comes out.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I lose sleep over this. So keep an eye out on my Twitter because I'm gonna be throwing out some ideas. If you're not following all three of us on Twitter by now, by the way, stop being mean. Follow us.
Stop being mean. Follow us. So the Cubs just wrapped up their first week in spring training. Michael Bush, Seiya Suzuki debuted on Monday against the Royals. We got the four guys competing for that fifth spot starting. It was Wicks, Assad, Smiley, and then Wisniewski on Monday. To wrap things up here, any overarching thoughts here the first few days into spring training?
You don't want to overreact too much because it's the first few days. Everybody's getting a chance. Michael Bush just made their first starts today. Nico and Dansby just started over the weekend. It's probably going to be a few days before we see Belly. Just be patient. Learn the names. Learn these names, and just know that good things are coming for the Cubs. If you learn these names, get yourself accumulated or whatever the word I'm looking for is with these names. And there's going to be guys that are in AAA. There's going to be guys that go even down to AA, but there are guys that are going to matter in this Cup, whether they are on the roster making a playoff push or in a trade package to go get exactly what we need. These are the guys that are going to get the job done for the Cubs. So be excited. This is a fun time to be a Cubs fan. Enjoy it. We went through a rough 3 years. We said goodbye to guys that brought us our first world championship ever, basically in our lives, right? And that was hard. And it was a tough 3 years, but that's why we're the best fan base in the world is we're resilient and we stick with our team. And we were losing and losing and losing, but we were still putting 40,000 in the seats strong. And Friday afternoons at Wrigley are just unmatched. Just keep fighting with this team because they're ready to pay back what they've done to you in the last 3 years, basically.
And look, the rebuild started the day that they traded away Yu Darvish. That was it. That's the beginning of this rebuild. It was like December 2020. It's been three years and like 3 months roughly by the time we get to the whatever. This is a big thing. And don't overreact. Like you're saying. I was actually really proud of Cub fans, by the way, on Friday, because if you're paying attention, Jordan Wicks played absolute piss poor defense in that second inning. He created his own drama. He didn't break to first in time. So I could have had a double play ball to get out of the inning. Next thing you know, there's a nubber down the third baseline and he clanks it too. Guess what? It's spring training. You're going to clank it in game one. Like these guys are going to take some time. The reps are going to take hold. They're all getting these reps, and over time, these reps are going to obviously get them to where they're at. Younger guys, especially the older guys, don't stress the older guys and how much they're not used. They're veterans. Let them work. I think the thing is, I love this, by the way, minimize Dansby Swanson reps because the dude plays every freaking game in the regular season. And last year, adjusting the Chicago Cubs schedule, the day games and everything like that, he ran out of gas all the way down the line towards the end stretch. And so now you're playing less, giving him a little bit less work, allowing him to kind of just get his work in, shorten up his spring training, shorten up his body, fatigue, and then allow him to do what he does, which is he does get cold in April, and then he comes out and he just, owns everybody in May, and just to keep him around. So there's no reason to get to this is great. This is where they're at right now. And to enjoy this, it's finally like you can actually be optimism and not actually just, sticking your head up your ass and pretending like, you're at the beach. Like this is real stuff here. This is a team that's actually now built to win. It's not a team that's no gaslighting. There's no, they're not marketing. This isn't one of those building a team just to finish second place so we can make as much money as possible. This is a team that on paper right now is the best team in the NL Central. This is a possible 90+ win team. This is where we're at.
Hashtag you have to see it with the C, but it looks like a dirty word at the end.
Keep the dirty word, man. They should never have gone away from the dirty word.
Shout out Obvious Shirts in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out Joe. Shout out Healy. Everybody else who tuned in tonight.
Joe, we trademarked this tonight, Joe, by the way. We trademarked, what was it? What did I say? What is my barn thing? Strong farm, stable barn.
There you go.
That's a good shirt.
For me, it's always the same thing every spring training. We've seen it already. It begins like first couple of weeks of February. So far, no known injuries. Knock on wood that we don't see any. That's always my biggest concern because last year I learned my lesson. Last year I haven't done it in a while, but last year I bought in all the way to the Wisniewski hype, and then kind of was shaky. But this year, back on track. Just health. That's all I care about. Everybody come out spring training ready to go. No big injuries. And so far, first couple weeks in, first week of games in, no known injuries, major injuries. Bush had a short sore shoulder. Oh, look at this. Obvious, Joe. At the end. Look at this. Look at this. Shout out Obvious Joe. Great guy. Keep up the greatest work, fellas. $100 super chat.
It almost pays for half a beer bat at Stone Park.
We can get almost two right there.
I took Joe today when I stopped by the office. I took him a 6-pack of Old Style and a little Malort shot pack. I told him it was his 2024 starter pack. So, Joe, I'm going to stop by the office next time you invite me. We'll do the shot that I didn't take at 11:30 this morning. So,
and if I could stop by the office, Joe, I would. Never mind. We'll keep that. That's HR problems right there.
No.
Oh yeah.
Seriously,
I want to go fishing on a boat and drink beer with Joe. That's what I want to do. I'm gonna pull a chafing.
Hey, while I'm here with you guys, seriously, I know you guys are on the West Coast. Come to Chicago this summer. Like, let's get to a game. Let's do a sports mockery outing at the ballpark for sure.
Already planning it. I have school gets out the 23rd. I think we're going to Italy sometime around that time. Once we're back, I'm already looking for my summer sweat out there.
Hey, whatever you need, just tell me, like lodging, whatever, like we got you. So
July we'll be out there.
Oh,
hey,
there we go. Give me those dates, Aldo. I'll look to hit that up too. I'm going to be in Minnesota for their whatever festival we're going to see. Red Hot Chili Peppers again, weird, but I'll be out there in some mid-July too. So I'm not sure if that's All-Star break time or whatever. But
oh yeah, let me know when you're up there. I know when the Cubs go to St. Louis. I think the weekend before the All-Star break, I'm gonna drive down. My wife is going out of town, so I'm driving down to St. Louis by myself. A Tommy Appreciation Weekend. Gonna go watch some Cubs baseball.
There you go.
Treat yourself, boys and girls.
Love it. Cody Bellinger's back. The vibes are high. We're gonna find a good vibe song. Joe, I'll be sure to shout out. Great guest again. Thank you so much for the super chat. For everyone tuning in, thank you. And tune back in Wednesday night on YouTube, 8 p.m. Central. You can always catch it the next morning or that very night on anywhere you hear podcast. For Tommy, for Kevin, the vibes are high right now. Go Cubs, and see you next time.